Now, another part of tech aspects is sitemaps, essentially another hint to tell Google. So first I'm talking about how Google understand my web pages from the internal linking, the tree structure we talked about. The second hint to the Google is sitemap. So for certain pages, if they are not interlinked, or if they are interlinked, so for example, if I publish an article 15 days back, it may not be available on my homepage. It may not be available on first 2 3 pages of my listing. Then how do I tell Google that this article is indexed? I mean, this article existing and I'm updating it. There's a way to tell hint to Google called sitemap. So sitemap is also very essential part for your tech SEO, to have a list of all the articles. Maybe not all the articles, that's up to you, but list of all the articles which are getting updated in certain period time. You can define your properties. You should also look at your indexing, uh, indexing on how the indexing is going to happen for your landing pages or listing pages. What is the crawl budget you have, what is the crawl rates you have, what are different errors you have. This is all available in your Webmaster. So Webmaster will give you all the snippets of what is happening in terms of your indexing, in terms of a sitemap. Lot of times I see publishers complaining me that I am having article in Google but not shown indexed in sitemap. It's possible because there are a lot of times Google is able to reach out to your page without even looking at the sitemap. It's possible that way because uh, sitemap essentially gives the hint. There are a lot of times it so may so happen that you are just having articles crawled but not indexed. That's another issue. A lot of publishers fails with the error called crawled but not indexed. That's something Google decide to not show your article index based on different parameters of your website, maybe domain authority, maybe keyword, maybe ranking. But crawled is something what we should ensure that articles are crawled. Indexing is something entirely depends on Google. Other vital aspects of the tech is TTFB. I was talking about this time to first byte earlier, which is very important. You should be considering TTFB as a key factor, and that gets improved by if a lot by CDN, a lot by your server response time. So if you are sitting in India and your servers are also sitting in India, or I'm sitting in Mumbai, my servers are sitting in Mumbai, it is may so happen that I will get response very fast. But if I'm sitting in US and my servers are sitting in Mumbai, there will be at least 1.5 second delay to get the response, because there will be DNS lookup, handshake, data transfer. To avoid that kind of delay, we use a CDN. Second part of the Web Vitals comes is a CLS, which is cumulative layout shift. What it would mean is that your web page, when it start rendering for user, it should not shake, neither horizontally nor vertically, mostly vertically, because it may so happen that I am having a heading which says uh, click here to join X group, and suddenly I was about to click that and another ad pops in that place, and I by mistakenly clicks on the ad. So I am hampering the user intention. It is very strictly not allowed or not recommended from SEO guidelines to have a higher CLS. Your page layout should not shift a lot. The best is 0, but if it is less than zero point 0.1 second in a cumulative value, it is called green in Google. If it is more than 0.25 second, it's a red flag from Google. Third biggest aspect, biggest factor is LCP, largest contentful paint. This is again quite close to TTFB. So TTFB essentially talks about getting your first byte. LCP talks about defining what is the largest contentful paint, or what is the component on the above the fold we are rendering is taking time. So if I'm having a web page which talks about my menu, my navigation, then heading, and then image, it may so happen that image will load and render and paint, and that will take some time. So most of the time images are the LCPs if they are above the fold. But images are, if images are not the LCPs, largest contentful paint, then sometimes these are the headings. Headings essentially would be painting because of the font change, repainting. They will be repainting because of font change. If we are not using any font and using system default font, it may so happen that heading will be taking the browser's default font and render. But suppose we are doing a Malayalam website or an Telugu website and we are using a font we will be basically re-rendering that component. So the largest contentful paint will be defined by the re-rendered value of that paragraph. Ideally, LCP should not be more than 2.5 second, 0.25, 2.5 second. Again, to improve LCP, CDN is a big guy who can help in this if your resources are loaded fast. So essentially, the problem with all these things is if the font is a culprit to higher LCP, the font maybe we are using two three fonts to render certain part of it. Maybe using rendering a title as well as paragraph and using two different fonts. On an average, if the font file is say 600 KB, so essentially I'm trying to load 1.2 Mbps upfront to render certain characters. So font could be one big factor for LCP. If I'm using CDN, probably I can reduce the download time. So that's the reason, if you look at big publishers, they all uses CDN to improve these factors. And then again, render blocking resources. I should not be using my render blocking resources above the fold. I should be lazy loading them, delete them, or bundle them upfront, preload. I should not be basically waiting for certain components to load and read.